I want to start off with this, Ryan. At what point did you decide that you were going to pursue a career in broadcasting? Because you've made the transition so seamlessly.
Well, while I was playing, I didn't think about it at all. Maybe towards the tail end of my career, um, but I was always invested in what I was doing and really thought that I was going to play forever. I didn't, think that there was ever an end, or at least that there was an end in sight in the near term. And I hurt my hip in Washington. Um, Ended up having to sit out that whole year, and that kind of altered my viewpoint a little bit. That made me sit and think, okay, what's next? I think this is going to be a career ender. Kids are getting older. Probably time to settle down. What do I want to do? And so when I started talking with Amazon about this opportunity being something from the ground floor, being Thursday night, where I would still get the weekends with the kids, being able to jump into this new venture full on, knowing that I was still going to be able to be involved with football. I was still going to travel and see all my buddies, be it coaches or players or staff. um, I was really excited about it, and the thing that I didn't really take into account was how much of a team environment it is. And it's like we just were speaking with Amy there, and I had been with Amy in Houston before, but with not just the people on the desk and the on-air talent, but the whole team that puts this thing together. We see each other every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday on the road. And it's been really nice to be a part of something, especially from the ground floor.
Yeah, that team, I got an opportunity to see you guys when you were in Tampa. I was blown away by the whole setup, the operation, and really just how everybody is working so cohesively. You, Wit, and Tony, and Sherm, and Carissa, you seem to have that chemistry to where it's as if you've been doing this for a whole lot longer than 10, 11 weeks or whatever it's been since the start of the season. Do you recognize that? Do you see that? Does that, do you get that feeling when you're on air that, hey, we really have this camaraderie? And how do you think you developed it?
Yeah, I definitely get that feeling, and part of it was just being around each other. We always do the Wednesday night dinners before the games, and I think that's been a really important part of it. Just getting to know everybody as an individual. Yes, I knew Tony Gonzalez, the football player, but as I got to learn about his family a little bit, as I got to hear dad joke after dad joke, you know, um, kind of got to learn his personality, and then jab him a little bit about some of his quirks, and then to get it thrown right back at me. It is a lot like a locker room in that respect. And I think Carissa has, especially early on, did an amazing job of just keeping us in line. We had three new guys on the desk that had never done this before, and she did such a great job of directing traffic and helping us figure it out. As we've gone throughout the season, the chemistry has become a lot better, especially that on-air chemistry of who's talking and when and what points can be made, how quickly a point has to be made. And so, Carissa is definitely still the quarterback, but having to manage a little bit less and having to babysit a little bit less than she did, at the very beginning of the season.
But how different is the film study or the preparation, we'll call it, for when you're going to go do a game as opposed to obviously when you were preparing for playing? How different is that? And do you find yourself like there's a balance where you want to simplify terms maybe for the viewers, but really also want to give them that insider education?
Yeah, it's very different. One thing that I've changed about the way that I do it, when I'm watching as a player, everything is all 22. So you're watching the bird's eye view, you're watching the end zone view. I don't watch that at all anymore unless there's a specific play where I really need to dive into what happened. I just watch the TV copies, and with that, the condensed TV copies a lot of the time. I watch the games on Sunday, but you want to go back and really dive into some of those, especially games that are pertinent to what we're doing. So I watch those condensed versions. You can hear a little bit of the announcing, hear a little bit of the crowd, still get a great feel for the game and the pace of the game and what's happening. And that's been really helpful for me. And then with that, digging into some of my relationships and just asking, hey, what happened here on this play, or what did you guys see going into this game and why was it so different? Things like that, where I can sit and talk with guys that are kind of on the inside and in the know, not betraying any confidence, with the relationships that I have, but just trying to figure some of that stuff out if I can't get it all on film study.
You mentioned those relationships. You played for so many teams, so there's a lot of relationships and a lot of friendships, I'm sure, across the league. How do you separate that from doing the job that you have to do? Because at times you're going to have to be critical. And I asked Sherm this, and I'll ask you: do you hear from anybody saying, "Hey, you were a little harsh, you were a little hard on me"?
Yeah, there's some hurt feelings every now and again, or there's always the, before we go on air, if I see some, hey, take it easy on me, that kind of thing. But I'm for me, I mean, I was criticized so much during my career, but was definitely able to separate. I was friends with a lot of the reporters, because we saw them every day in the locker room. I like to establish that relationship. They could say bad things about me, but as long as they were fair, then that was fine. They were doing their job, and I was out there trying to do mine. So there's still guys I have great relationships with, and I think that's how I look at it when I'm trying to give analysis of these games, whether it's real time or whether it's from film study. I'm just trying to be fair, and I'm trying to present it in a way that I have a great subset of like younger kids. How are they going to understand it? How is my wife going to understand this? How is my dad going to understand this? And looking at it from all those different angles of people that have played football, people that haven't, and trying to mesh all that together to make sense for the people that maybe haven't played or haven't been, devoted their life to football, but also to give people that have a little tidbit that maybe they wouldn't see or isn't there to the naked eye.
Going back to that injury that you suffered last year in Washington, have you had any calls since, or did you have any opportunity to maybe continue your career, or once you went through that, you realized that this is it, this is time to transition fully and to close the door completely on anything else? I mean, you're still 39 years old.
Yeah, almost 40. I'm getting there. But yeah, you know what? That wasn't a great injury. It's a tough one to overcome, tough one to get back 100% from. But I made it completely clear when I made the decision, when I had that injury, uh, that was it for me. I told my agent, even if you receive calls, I don't want to hear about it because I am done.
Fitz, the Jets haven't had a winning record. I don't know if you realize this since you led them to a 10-6 record in I think it was 2015 under Todd
Yeah.
Bowles. They're one of the bigger surprises in the NFL this season. So to ask you to put that analyst cap on, what have you seen from them?
Yeah, it's been shocking for me. Sherm has not been shocked. Sherm is so excited, loves his boy Sala. They're leading the charge. I saw them in person when Nick Mangold got his name and number inducted into the Ring of Honor. I went out there for the Cincinnati game early in the year, and Cincinnati handled them pretty good. So I came out of that thinking, okay, they are who I thought they were. Offense, they've got some young weapons, but it's still going to take a few years to develop. Joe Flacco was still playing at that time. Um, and then defensively, fast, young talent, but just couldn't hang. And they were trying to do a lot. They were sending a bunch of blitzes, and Burrow just kind of carved them up that day. But as the season has gone on, I think they've simplified things. They're relying on that speed and that youth on defense. And, unfortunately, Brees Hall goes down, but what a season he was having. I mean, he's an unbelievable football player, but they have some good weapons on offense. Garrett Wilson is a really good player. And you just think to that Ohio State receiving core that he was on. I mean, oh my gosh. But Zach Wilson, I had some tough analysis on him, a couple weeks ago, just taking a deep dive and watching his film. He is really good when he throws in rhythm. When he's throwing off that first or second hitch from the pocket, he's a really good football player. He's got a great arm, as we all know, has good anticipation. But once he starts doing the stuff where he leaves the pocket backwards, that's where he's gotten in trouble a lot this year. And of all the tape that I watched, there was one play that he made outside the pocket when he escaped it on an out and up to Garrett Wilson down the field. Everything else was either a disaster or almost a disaster. And so with Zach playing within himself, understanding that they do have a good defense and that he can lean on that a little bit, and maybe escaping up in the pocket, using his legs to run a little bit rather than scrambling backwards and try to make some of those plays. He still has to learn how to play quarterback in the NFL, and it's going to be a process, but there's enough good that I've seen from him when he plays in rhythm in the pocket that I'm excited for his future.
And you got an opportunity to play with Tua, who's developed into an MVP candidate this year. Did you see that from him, that potential, that talent? And obviously Tyreek Hill helps, but he's delivering the ball, he's making all the throws, making the right reads. What have you seen from him that he's at this point, at this level?
Yeah, and when we had him on Thursday night again, it was against the Bengals, and that was the concussion. It was a scary night, and from that there were so many questions of, okay, is he going to come back at all? When is he going to come back? And it's been really nice to see him back on the field. He's playing great. With him, Tyreek has helped a lot. Mike McDaniel has helped a lot, and I think a lot of that has just been confidence. Mike came in and said, "Look, you are our guy. I love you for who you are. Go out there and be yourself." And also, Tua, if he lives in this box in between the numbers, that line of scrimmage to 20 yards, those throws he is so effective on because he can see it, because he can anticipate it, because he's extremely accurate in that box. And that's where he's just been feasting this year. And then, some of the Tyreek stuff down the field too. It's been really impressive. A lot of that stuff has been short where Tyreek's coming back to make plays, but the stuff over the middle of the ball or the middle of the field over the ball there isn't a better passer in the league right now than Tua and what he's done.
Fitz, last one for you. Do you have plans for Thanksgiving and Black Friday this year? Because it may look a whole lot different for you next year with Amazon Prime Video getting a Black Friday game.
Yeah, so I'm actually turning 40 on Thanksgiving this year. So we got the double whammy this year. We'll do some
Wow, happy
turkey.
40th.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, I think Black Friday, it's a great idea. It's a great time to have a game. Everybody's going to be huddled up, ready to watch more football. So I think that's a big win for Amazon, and I'm really looking forward to that. Already looking forward to, okay, what city are we going to be in for Thanksgiving next year, and what city are we going to be doing the game in?
Fitz, appreciate your time, man. Keep up the great work. Really enjoy seeing you guys.
Okay, thank you. See you.